Hispaniola is one island split by an invisible but powerful line. To the east, the Dominican Republic hums with tourism, free trade zones, and bustling infrastructure. To the west, Haiti struggles beneath layers of economic hardship, political instability, and environmental degradation. The two nations share geography but little else. The divergence began with colonization. When Europeans arrived in 1492, they set the stage for a future of stark contrasts. Initially, Spain controlled the region, but by the 1600s, France also entered this place. Eventually, Spain took control of the eastern side, and France later seized the western part.
Yes. The eastern part, rich in resources and established settlements, rightfully falls under Spanish dominion.
The French colony of Saint-Domingue, which would become Haiti, was the jewel of the Caribbean in the 18th century. It was a plantation-based economy. The French had built a brutal but immensely profitable sugar and coffee economy based on enslaved African labor. In contrast, Spanish Santo Domingo developed a more diversified and less lucrative economy, with fewer slaves and a more dispersed rural population. This difference in intensity and economic focus shaped the social and political structures of each side. Haiti's revolution in 1791 was a world-altering event. The enslaved population rose up, defeated Napoleon's forces, and declared independence in 1804. It was the first successful slave revolt in history and the first Black Republic, but independence came at a steep cost. France demanded reparations for lost property, including slaves, amounting to 150 million francs, a debt Haiti struggled to repay for over a century. This drained resources that could have built infrastructure or schools, leaving the country in a financial straitjacket. This economic drain was coupled with international isolation and internal divisions among elites, setting Haiti on a precarious path. Meanwhile, the Dominican Republic gained independence from Haiti in 1844, after a brief period of unification. Unlike Haiti, the Dominican Republic did not inherit such a crippling debt. Though its early years were marked by instability, the absence of such financial shackles allowed for gradual economic development. Its path, though turbulent, included periods of rebuilding under authoritarian leaders who, despite their brutality, invested in infrastructure and state institutions. The contrast deepened in the 20th century. In the early 20th century, both countries were occupied by the United States. Haiti from 1915 to 1934, the DR from 1916 to 1924. But the effects were different. In the Dominican Republic, the U.S. introduced customs reforms, improved infrastructure, and laid the groundwork for export-led growth. In Haiti, forced labor and centralized control created deep resentment and little long-term benefit. Post-occupation, both nations experienced authoritarian regimes. Haiti suffered under the Duvaliers, Papa Doc and Baby Doc, whose reigns were marked by terror, cronyism, and the siphoning of public resources. Their paramilitary force, the Tonton Macoute, terrorized citizens and ensured absolute control. Infrastructure crumbled, education decayed, and the state served mainly to enrich the few. The Dominican Republic endured the rule of Rafael Trujillo, another dictator, but one who directed state revenues into building roads, schools, and industries. Despite his violent repression and cult of personality, Trujillo's policies left a foundation for future economic expansion. Environmental decline starkly illustrates the divergence. Haiti, due to over-reliance on charcoal and lack of regulation, has lost over 98% of its forests. This has devastated agriculture, increased vulnerability to natural disasters, and led to chronic food insecurity. The Dominican Republic, by contrast, has reversed deforestation trends and boasts over 40% forest cover, supporting ecotourism and sustainable farming. Politically, Haiti has been marred by repeated coups, notably in 1991 and 2004. These events further eroded public trust and institutional stability. Jean-Bertrand Aristide, Haiti's first democratically elected president, was overthrown in 1991, returned with U.S. support, then ousted again in 2004 amid growing unrest. Each coup deepened Haiti's governance crisis. The country has since struggled to hold free and fair elections, and gang violence has filled the power vacuum. The United States, while a major aid donor, has often taken a reactive approach. In response to Haiti's struggles, the U.S. introduced trade initiatives like the HOPE, Haitian Hemispheric Opportunity through Partnership Encouragement Act in 2006, and the EHLP Haiti Economic Lift Program Act in 2010. These programs offered Haitian textile manufacturers duty-free access to U.S. markets, aiming to create jobs and boost exports. However, while they provided some growth in the garment sector, the benefits were narrow and vulnerable to disruptions, as they relied heavily on a few export firms and offered little value-added diversification. Furthermore, they failed to transform Haiti's broader economic landscape, largely due to weak infrastructure and governance issues. Meanwhile, the Dominican Republic adopted structural reforms and trade liberalization policies, particularly its participation in the CAFTA-DR agreement with the United States and Central America in 2007. This opened Dominican products to U.S. markets and attracted foreign direct investment. Combined with a stable macroeconomic framework, this helped boost manufacturing, tourism, and remittances. Today, the Dominican economy is one of the fastest growing in Latin America, with consistent GDP growth. Education and literacy also highlight the gap. According to UNESCO data, the literacy rate in the Dominican Republic is about 93%, compared to approximately 61% in Haiti. This disparity reflects years of underinvestment in public education in Haiti, worsened by repeated disasters and political crises. In rural areas of Haiti, school attendance remains low, and only about 30% of children reach 6th grade. This severely limits the country's human capital development. Then came the 2010 earthquake. It killed over 200,000 people, flattened Port-au-Prince, and left over 1 million homeless. Billions of dollars in international aid poured in, but much was mismanaged. NGOs bypassed the government, and coordination failures meant that reconstruction was slow and uneven. The Dominican Republic, though not immune to hurricanes and quakes, has responded with more effective disaster preparedness. Stronger institutions and better governance have helped the country recover more quickly and minimize long-term economic disruption. Social policy also plays a significant role. The Dominican Republic has invested in universal health coverage and education reform, while Haiti's public services are minimal and often replaced by NGOs. The lack of a functioning state in Haiti means basic services like electricity, water, and healthcare are inconsistent or non-existent for most citizens. By 2023, the economic gap had widened dramatically. Haiti's GDP was $19.6 billion, with a per capita income around $1,700. Inflation exceeded 20%, and over 60% of the population lived in poverty. The Dominican Republic, in contrast, had a GDP of $127 billion and per capita income above $11,500. Its inflation hovered around 5.7%, and poverty rates fell below 30%. The DR attracted over $1 billion in annual tourism revenues, while Haiti's once promising sector has all but collapsed due to insecurity. Haiti's security crisis remains dire. Armed gangs control large swaths of the capital, ports, and even government buildings. The 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse shocked the nation and revealed deep fractures within the state. Elections have been repeatedly postponed, and institutions are barely functional. In contrast, the Dominican Republic while facing its own challenges, maintains regular elections and comparatively stronger rule of law. The border between the two countries has become increasingly militarized. In 2023, the Dominican government began constructing a border wall to curb migration and smuggling. Tensions have flared, especially over shared water resources like the Massacre River. Remittances tell another part of the story. In Haiti, they account for over 30% of GDP, sent largely by the diaspora in the US, Canada, and France. In the Dominican Republic, remittances are also significant, around 9% of GDP, but the country has built a more diversified economy, less dependent on external flows. Looking forward, projections suggest continued divergence unless Haiti undergoes deep institutional reform. The IMF forecasts DR growth to remain above 4% annually through 2026. Haiti's economy, meanwhile, may stagnate or shrink without political stabilization. Still, there are signs of hope. Community-led reforestation, local entrepreneurship, and diaspora investments offer glimpses of resilience. If there is to be a better future for both sides of Hispaniola, it will require not just aid, but partnership. Shared watershed management, regional trade initiatives, and labor protections could create mutual benefits. But trust must be rebuilt, and that will take time. The story of Haiti and the Dominican Republic is not just about failure and success. It is about how history weighs on the present, and how choices, however difficult, can change the future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed watching the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.